Okay, what's going on? Is that loud? I don't know if that's loud or not. Sorry. All right, start number 2. This is from June 3rd. We're at Evansville here. First start for me this year on the road. So we're going to start this video off as you see my manager walk out here. I probably get more questions regarding that glove that I wear that you guys see in all my videos by Ellis Ball Gloves. More questions about how I am allowed to throw with that and stuff. So I warmed up with it. I tried because I was able to wear it for my first start, and I actually got kind of praised by the umpire that did that start, and he said he loved it because it was Memorial Day and he loved the red, white, and blue. But obviously in this start, they said something early on. And here's the thing. I'm not one to make excuses. Like, I don't want you to take it, but I need to specify this one main kind of thing, dynamic that happened. I warmed up with that old glove. All right. That glove, that red, white, and blue one is a 12 and a fourth and a lot heavier and a totally different model. I've talked about my gloves in Glove of the Day videos, how each glove kind of represents like a new little thing within my delivery. And then I went to this 90-mile-an-hour formula glove, which is 11 3/4. And I'll say, like, you see, I grind here within these first few innings to get this feel. But anyways, we'll break this down. So 3-2 to lead off. I actually end up throwing him a cutter in which he just goes out and gets, and this is the start of the outing. That ball was foul by my right fielder said it was foul by maybe two ball lengths. And anytime you start an outing like this, the glove exchange, I hate that I'm making all these excuses things, but I got to like kind of lay the groundwork. The glove exchange thing, and then 2, hey, athlete, hey, yeah, nice bunt. And then 2, could not see the signs. I mean, I clipped this video because I remember in the start number 1 video, it was hard to kind of go through each and every pitch as a quick video. I didn't want to make it this long, but this is clipped. So I'm grinding, all right, trying to find any which way to get in a rhythm. Obviously, I've talked about it a lot in the past, how like I'm just better when I'm in a rhythm and I've established a rhythm, and I kind of can get away from all this over analytical kind of thought process and just go out and compete. And this first inning, as you can see, I'm absolutely grinding my face off trying to find any which way that gives me some comfort. I was very uncomfortable. I couldn't, there's a lot of things going on. But at the end of the day, you try to find some way to promote whatever it is that you feel that you're lacking. All right. And I think for me, it was I was speeding up. The game speeds up. I start to speed up. I kind of get out of my essentially my comfort zone, if you will. So then I had a good opportunity within those warm-up throws right there to find some sort of like mechanical cue that I could use that got me a lot more comfort within my delivery. Now, that's obviously a fine line because you don't want to sit there and think so much about mechanics. But if you can find a way, if you have the time, if you can find a way to set aside some time, let's pause this. If you can find a way to set aside some time, whether it be like a visualization in the dugout, and this is for starters, obviously, or in your warm-up throws, you get 8 of them, find a way to like just get something that you can utilize moving forward throughout the game, because obviously as a starter's job, you got to get deep into this game, and you're not going to get deep in this game if I just had that first inning over and over again, right? So you find a way to make that adjustment. It's hard to do. The game is hard, but everyone's a little bit different in how they approach that. For me, it was, like I said, with the whole glove thing, and I thoroughly believe this, not just an excuse. For me, in that first inning, I went to that smaller glove, and like the smaller glove promoted this sense of feeling of my front side being super like disconnected and super aggressive due to the difference in like, and it's a minor difference, right, in weight. but that's what it was kind of feeling like. And then I over amplified the issue in my head as it was kind of unraveling and as I was getting more and more uncomfortable, right? So for me, going out into that warm up, it was like, all right, let's kind of focus on locking in front side, holding front side a little bit longer, and just giving myself a little bit more time. Because as you see, I talked about this a lot in years past, like within, just kind of instructional videos, is like understand your misses, like identify your misses. So for me in that first inning, you saw a lot of arm side elevated, a lot of arm side misses, which is a direct correlation to that front side just kind of not being existent within your throw, right? It just wants to go, it wants to get out as quick as possible. And that's, again, for me, I just felt like it was over amplified. So now we're in the second. You can see that my tempo gets a lot better. I get a little bit better rhythm here. I threw an 0-2 slider. That was really good. And then I pumped up on that 1-2 pitch. So now I'm starting to get a little bit more comfortable. You can see my tempo is a little bit slower here. I'm overemphasizing. I know you really can't see a difference in a mechanical kind of physical thing, but I'm really overemphasizing like getting my front side extended early and kind of getting my hand out of my glove early, all right? And just really feeling that. Now, obviously, when you get into the heat of the battle, you don't want to kind of over-articulate these physical feelings, but whatever you need to do. So now, obviously, you can see they're starting to fill it up a little bit more. I really like this sequence, go fastball away. Now we go fastball in. We try to go fastball elevated here. Those 3 pitches right there are really good sequenced. He ends up fouling that 0-2 pitch off, which is fantastic. We try to climb the ladder even more, see if he'll go. He doesn't, so we're in a pretty good position here. We try to throw elevated cutter off that elevated 4-seam. I just don't execute it. Throw another one because I get stubborn with my cutter and I think I can execute it every time. We don't get it, and then we go to the slider, and I really like this sequence. So let's pause this. I do a bad thing. It's my fault. I need to pat the chest on this more often because I get really stubborn. But for the youngsters out there watching this, don't show up the umpire. I know like umpires are going to make bad calls, and I know it's funny like sitting here saying this. I'm just very competitive, and like when I do something that I believe as like good job me and I don't get rewarded for it, it's like, gosh, that's frustrating, right? But I do no favors here by showing up the umpire by doing this little thing here. I can't do that. That's not me. I'm better than that, right? Everyone in the stadium knows that, like, okay, you missed that call, get the next one. But that's something I need to get better at moving forward. I get very frustrated, like I said, when I execute. But that was a good pitch, 2-2. Now we're going to 3-2, and we throw another slider, front door it, and we get the call. So that sequence in and of itself, I think, was probably one of the better sequences of the day. We established hard early, so you give the hitter an idea of what you're trying to do, how you're trying to attack them. We didn't just go hard, but we went hard away, hard in, hard elevated, and then we come back later in the at bat in the count with sliders, and we have the ability to throw for strikes. So now, third inning, got a little bit more rhythm here. We start him off with a slider or a cutter. I'm not really sure. But you can just tell, so that's a good speed difference right there between the 2 pitches. You can tell I'm more in rhythm, I'm more in tune with what I'm trying to do. And again, identifying my misses, right? Like arm side elevator right there. So this is a great example of this, right? So like in-game adjustments. All right, let's find a way to fast forward this without messing up too much of the stuff. Okay, so what pitch is this? 1-2? No, that's not the one I want to show you. Here we go. All right, 0-2. So right there, so you see, so for me, what my goal is try to avoid as much like mechanical / like physical movement / adjustments, because I feel like for me in years past, the more that I think about the physical aspect of it, then I completely lose like my tempo, I lose my rhythm, and I try to like over articulate these like little movements, over amplify these things, and then I'm not moving like an athlete, I'm moving like a robot. Okay, so I know that for me personally that's not the play. But what I can do is I can get a really keen in sense of like, what are my misses? All right, so identify misses. So we're trying to just go fastball middle elevated, and it goes again elevated arm side. And you can see just by my posture here, I'm really aggressive to my glove side. So maybe that's something that I can already know just from my preparation work, that like, okay, when I'm trying to do X and instead of doing this task, I do it this way, like arm side elevated, that probably just tells me that I get a little bit over anxious and I get a little bit over rotational early within like my physical mechanical aspect of it, right? So it's not something I'm diving deep down a rabbit hole. It's just like, okay, boom, now I know what I need to do. And what I need to do is I need to lock in with that front side. I need be a little bit more under control. And you can see it here with my tempo, a lot more linear here. And you can see from my finish that now I'm in line, right? Now I'm doing what I want to do within that finish. And you can see that pitch is a really well executed pitch, right? So 1, 2, especially, I mean, even using that elevated arm side miss as something to set up maybe a 1, 2 down and in fastball. And then here's another example of this, exactly what I was talking about. Okay. So I do my job in terms of this sequencing and these things we talk about with like tunneling and stuff and giving myself the best opportunity to get the out. All right. And I do what I need to do. And I make this pitch and I execute this pitch exactly how I want it. Kind of, front door this piece to a lefty to where he's going to give up on it early. And then we get to that point where it's literally right down the middle and we don't get the call. And you can just see, again, like my body language here, show my frustration. That's going to do nothing for me long term. So now we get to 2-2 and, we do a good job of going back to it, same pitch, get the call here. So getting a rhythm, getting a rhythm. So another thing that I can talk about within like, all right, identifying my misses, and gosh, that's frustrating right there. Throw a cutter that I thought, was a pretty decent pitch, and he does his job. But identifying your misses, there it is again, right? Identifying your misses, and then like, instead of maybe over articulating the physical adjustment, just like throw a different pitch, like, or throw a different location, force yourself. So for me, it was like, I had to force myself to go down and into lefties with a heater. Almost got him here, but doesn't work out. Whoa, hold the phone. Hold on. We got a thing going. My internet here at this hotel is just great. It just kind of pops up every time saying, hey, you're disconnected, reconnect again. Apologies, but we'll grind through it. Thank you, Hilton. We're back. Couldn't download. Here we go. Okay, so what I was saying was like, identify your misses, understand like the reasoning, why that kind of stuff happens, and then instead of articulating all this stuff inside your head and promoting robotic movement patterns, just switch up your pitches. Switch up your pitches. Like, so for me, example, I was like, every time I would go fastball middle elevated, it was going like way arm side elevated. All right. So now I can have a conversation with my catcher during the middle of the inning and be like, hey, so now every time that we go elevated heater biscuit, we're going to shade glove side. All right. So now I can lock in front side and I can get just better timing and better linear energy instead of really just over rotation and kind of leaving it. So, now this is the 2-hole hitter. I think he's the 1 and 2 guys of this lineup, did a really good job, I think, all game against me. But this is a very frustrating series of events. I think we get him 0-2. He ends up stealing third here. What are you going to do? So I don't know what the count is now, but we just throw a cutter, really good cutter here, 2-1. Let's say it's 2-1. I just saw it 2-2, so I don't really even know what the count is. So we throw a really good cutter. And this is a really good lesson in my opinion for like younger guys, because I do this probably more than anyone in their career. This whole dynamic of like having a pitch that you want to throw and like trusting this pitch in your gut, and then having a catcher put down a different sign and you just being like, all right, here, let's go. We had this conversation, Carl and I, my catcher, in the dugout of this game. All right. So there's like this fine line of like agreeing to a pitch that maybe you are less convicted in because of like promoting more better rhythm and tempo, right? So we already stated that we couldn't really see the signs all too well, and there was a lot of like, what does that look like? Or there's a lot of shakes, or I throw 6-7 pitches as a starter, so it's obviously difficult to begin with. but there's this underlying issue of like, okay, I know I'm better when I have rhythm. I know I'm better when my tempo's, better. And, it's hard sometimes when you have this conviction in this pitch and you're shaking to get to this pitch that you want to throw. And then there's a time call, and then now your whole rhythm is kind of jacked up a little bit. So we had the conversation, which is a really good conversation. I should probably do more segments on this. Is the fine line of like, okay, when do you just like say yes to a pitch that maybe you're less convicted on to help aid in the rhythm of the entire like game, right? So this is kind of what happens within this pitch. Let's say it's a 2-2 count. I wanted to throw another cutter. I wanted to do the exact same thing, honestly, as I just did the previous pitch, but he puts down a elevated fastball, and it was kind of just like, oh, that sounds good. Like, I guess, like, let's do it. Let's just throw an elevated fastball and strike him out. Well, instead of throwing an elevated fastball, I throw a fastball right down the middle, and it's a double, and the run scores. So, which is really frustrating because like I'm just now starting to get like my bearings. I'm just now starting to get a feel for everything that we've kind of just been talking about, starting to get like a little bit of a rhythm, and I ended up giving up another run, which is the second run of the game in the third inning. So here's a pretty good sequence. 3-hole hitter, lefty, obviously can swing it a little bit, and he does a really good job there with that cutter. 87 mile an hour cutter down and in, lines out to right. Pretty good sequence here, as I recall. No, maybe this one's not it. 2-0, having conviction of your heater here in the zone. Kind of just throw up a little Fosh heater there at 90, get the rollover. All right, so bottom 4, another arm side elevated miss. So can we make the adjustment? Now we make the adjustment and go slider. Don't get the call there, maybe a little elevated. 3-0, and these are things that I need to, it's like moving forward, I just need to get better at kind of like just locking in from pitch one, like having, it's not so much for me, it's not like the physical thing as like, oh, my delivery is so off that now I'm not able to like put the ball where I want. I have trust and confidence that my delivery is on point. And then this is funny how like we were talking about this in the dugout. How funny is it? Like I throw 6 balls in a row. I walk the first guy on 4 straight. The second guy swings at a 2-0 pitch and pops it up, so we get an out. And then this guy absolutely hammers. So that's the 2-0 pitch that he pops out at 92. And this guy absolutely hammers a first pitch cutter and right to the second baseman. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I just threw like what, a 7 pitch inning, and I had I threw 2 strikes. That's the game. All right, so now we're going to lock it in here a little bit, getting on deeper into this game. We're going to lock it in. Pretty good sequence here. I sequenced this guy pretty well all night. Here's another slider. Get him on the call there. 1-2 slider. Yeah, so you got to remember his first at bat. Remember we showed him sliders or hard early and then sliders. Here's another good sequence to this lefty. I sequenced these 2 guys pretty well all night. Another arm side elevated. You can see I get pretty aggressive there. Really good adjustment. Thinking I went to the changeup there to get the foul ball. And then 1-2. I don't mind that pitch. I think it needs to be a little bit more competitive out of the hand. But now, so that's a really good sequence for me. Okay, 90 miles an hour. I threw the crap out of that cutter. So I like this sequence. I don't want to give. I guess I don't care. I'll give whatever away. But you can see that we took the lead too. So emphasis on the shutdown inning here as well. So we go 1-2. Okay, so we throw this 1-2 slider. As I said, I don't mind it too much because in terms of the location, it's great. I did want to bounce that more so back foot-ish. But now having the ability to go from that slider to now this cutter, which is out of the hand in a perfect world for me, is the same look. Oh, that's that breaking ball. But now this one's coming in, as you see, at 90 miles an hour, which is like drastically different from that one that was coming in at around 80. But maybe a little bit of the same kind of rotation. Having distinguished 2 differences of both pitches is really crucial, I think, for me. So we're doing pretty good. We get a call there early, so you can see that I'm just better when I attack early. Who would have thought? And now we go first pitch or second pitch 90. That was a cutter too. And now we're going to give a little jump over the line. We're feeling ourselves a little bit, heading into the 6th, getting the rhythm. First pitch slider, starting guys early off with breaking balls. Go change up here. A great freaking play. That's fantastic. I was fired up, and then the camera shifts this angle, which is frustrating. I can't really tell you what these pitches are, but we end up getting a strikeout, so that's dope. And now This is the heart of the order too, I believe. 6th inning, heart of the order. Do we get to play here? Oh, this is great. This is another thing about baseball, right? I execute a pitch, we make that error, but then like he goes, I get fired up. He goes like overthrow. He's like, all right, let's go. We'll go 2. Our catcher's there. Great job, Carl, backing up the play. He's got a hand cannon, boom to second, and it's like, oh, baseball's awesome. So this is a doubleheader. This is the second game of the doubleheader. All right, so I've obviously caught a rhythm here, and it's 4-2. So this is the last inning. We play 7 innings, and I'm at 82 pitches. Okay, so all I'm thinking is like, CG, let's freaking go. It's getaway day. Let's CG it. Let's shower up. Let's get on the bus. Like, let's go, boys. There's nothing more than I love about being a starting pitcher than like having the ability to finish a game. Like that fires me the frick up. And sometimes it kind of hurts me in terms of like, I try to put more emphasis or more internal pressure on myself to do more. So this is what's frustrating. This first at bat, okay, so we miss with a fastball. That's fine. We're 1-0. Now we come back with a cutter. We're 1-1. It's a good sequence thus far. All right. So now we 1-1 it, and we go another slot. So we go cutter here. Oh man, this is frustrating. So if you can see, let me see if we can get this guy's swing. So by the swing, we go fastball, cutter, slider. And what I talked about earlier with the whole cutter slider difference, and then the slider cutter difference. So if you can see this, out of the hand, I sell it really good. Arm speed's good. All right, so now you can see the way that he kind of takes this ball a little bit like jumpy, and then gets to that point where he just like, all right, like now we'll swing, get a barrel on it or whatever, and pop up, right? Boom, pop up. Did my job. Executed the pitch I wanted to execute. 1 out. We're 2 outs away. Well, the Bermuda Triangle falls down, ends up turning into a double. Like the law of averages, you know? You have that 1 inning where I threw 7 pitches, 2 strikes, got that line out double play, like, oh, let's go. You get the one play where it's an error, overthrow, but then he ends up going, catcher's there, backs it up, out. Like there's those plays, and then there's these plays. We talked about it the first step out of the game, like that ball was foul, and it gets called fair. Like that's why freaking baseball is the best test of life. Build resilience, And then I do a really poor job here. This is completely on me. I will pat the chest every single day of the week. I was not locked into this at bat. I was very, and this is something that, you think after 11 years of professional baseball, I'd get better at, but I didn't. I didn't lock in. I was very frustrated at that whole like bloop double thing. And as much as I thought I was ready to attack this guy, I wasn't. And that's something that I can look back at the end of this outing and be like, okay, like check my ego at the door. Was I locked in to compete against this guy in this particular at bat? Because to be completely honest, like there's no reason why I would want to walk this guy. Yes, we have a base open, but this is putting the tying run on base. Like there's no reason why I would want to do that. And I was just not locked in. I was not locked in. I was frustrated at the previous at bat, that bloop double, whatever. So there was a mound visit. Skip comes out. I said I want it because I still think in my mind that my stuff is good. I've thrown 6 pitches this inning, 6 pitches this inning. I'm still fresh, and there's still an emphasis of like, finish this game, finish what I started, man. Like, let's go. So sequence this guy good. We go back-to-back cutters here, and these pitches are one of the better pitches of the night. So we're 0-2. We're sitting pretty. All right. And we talked earlier about that cutter slider dynamic. I end up going slider here. I like that location. I like that location in the dirt. I think with that slider, it could potentially be just a ball out of the hand for him. That's maybe why we didn't even get any sense of engagement. So now this is where I maybe question the sequencing, like all night, maybe question the sequence. Well, I guess that one double on the fastball middle. But this is where we could potentially question the sequencing. So the first 2 pitches were cutters around 86, 87. Then we go 0-2 slider 79, I believe. So I'm thinking cutter. He didn't show us anything that he wanted anything to do with that, nor did he show that he could do anything with that pitch that's coming in looking like a fastball inner third for him, right? But after throwing that 0-2 slider in the dirt, I was like, okay, well, maybe we should just throw this 1-2 slider, like front door it, because as a lefty, he showed me earlier in the count that he wants to engage early in his swing, which means he wants to pull something, which means he likes to pull things or likes to pull pitches, and that could benefit me in numerous ways. And one biggest benefit that I was constantly thinking in my head against this at bat was that if I can throw a front door slider, 8 miles an hour off those cutters that he's expecting, 12, 13 miles an hour off the fastball that maybe is in the back of his head, he's going to want to yank that thing, and it's going to be a 4-6-3, 2 outs, guy on third, and then let's go home after this, right? So that was like the intentions that all came into my head, and I do exactly what I was actually trying to do here. Front door that slider and put it in that location to where he gets pull happy, and he does just that, but baseball. Just out of the second baseman's reach. I mean, that probably wasn't going to be a double play in general, just because, it wasn't hit hard enough, A, and then B, it was just he had to range. And even if you were to get to that fielding position, it's hard to spin, blah, blah, blah. But that's what's frustrating, man. Like, this game is very frustrating in terms of, you do everything you can to put yourself in the best possible situation to have success. You prepare, and then you get into the heat of the battle, and you make all these in-game adjustments, and you do whatever, you feel is the best to get the team the win. And you leave the game with bases loaded, no outs. I look back at this outing, and there was a conversation after the 6th inning, like, hey, you good? And of course I'm going to say good, right? I could have easily came out after the 6th and been on a high note, but I get stubborn. But that's the nature of the beast. But everyone played really good defensively. The game ended up being reliever came in and gave up 2. But, I mean, shoot, man, bases loaded, no outs. That's a tough situation to be in, especially on the road. He gave up 2. We ended up going to extras, did a really good job in the Frontier League does the home run derby thing to decide a tiebreaker. So we lost in the home run derby, and that's how we lost this game. But all in all, there was a lot to take away from this outing. Told the umpire he did a good job. Don't think that I was yelling at him there. I just said good job. A lot to take away from it. Did a lot of things well, did a lot of things not well. I thought in terms of sequencing, we did an okay job. There was a couple occasions with that double in the gap in the 3rd, and then that one right there, who knows. I hate to play that game. I played that game a lot when I was younger. Like, if I would have just done this, then I would have had better, that'll keep you up at night. I hate that. Yeah, hopefully you guys took something from that.